Hi everyone, welcome to the Postcard Podcast. My name is Rebecca. Greetings and welcome to another episode of the Postcard Podcast. Thank you so much for listening and joining me again for another week. I was supposed to have a guest on this week, but unfortunately a few of my options fell through. It was originally supposed to be one of my best friends, Luz, but she did not really feel well. She's kind of sick at the moment, so I didn't really want to strain her voice. And then I asked a few other of my friends as well, but they're either sick or were busy with work. And I also just had a really busy week this week, but also pretty normal. Like I feel like I did nothing, but at the same time I feel like I had absolutely no time whatsoever. My main highlight this week is I saw Billy Idol in concert. Well, obviously, but I saw Billy Idol at Sunfest. I went literally just for Billy Idol. I am a huge fan of Billy Idol. I grew up listening to him and a bunch of artists like David Bowie, Elvis, Queen, the Rolling Stones, U2. I just grew up with all of them and I absolutely love their music, and Billy Idol is just, it was just incredible to see. He's still such a great performer, and I have my nickname, since my name is Rebecca, one of my nicknames is Rebel, and I've just been called Rebel from basically like my family, not really friends call me Rebel. My friends mainly call me Bex, but my family calls me Rebel, and that's because when I was like 5 years old, maybe younger, I don't really remember, but when I was a little kid, basically, I would always sing along to David Bowie's Rebel Rebel and Billy Idol's Rebel Yell. Just those two are like my favorite songs from them, and I would always just sing along. I really don't know why, but I really gravitated to those two songs, and I would just sing them all the time, which Rebel Yell is not really a song that a kid should be like screaming off at the top of her lungs, but that's what I did, and I would listen to it all the time, and I just absolutely loved them. So it was incredible to see them live, and to see him live, Billy Idol, and it meant a lot to me. I did tear up a little bit. I will not lie, I did tear up a little bit. And yeah, I definitely cry once a week, probably, thinking about the fact that I will never see David Bowie live ever. It makes me so upset, and I'm tearing up thinking about it right now. It genuinely breaks my heart. Why am I crying? The day that David Bowie died was the day that my heart died. I literally started crying. I can't deal with this. But yeah, so I do cry about once a week because I remember, I will be listening to his music and I'll just remember, because I'll be like, oh, he's such a great artist, and I'll just be in awe for a second. Sometimes when the realization hits me, it happens with a variety of songs where I'm just listening to them and then I'll just perceive the song, and I'll step out of my head for a second and I'll actually focus on the song, and I'll realize how an amazing song it is, and then I will start absolutely sobbing because it takes me on this mental train of, oh my god, this is such an amazing song, he's such an amazing artist, I would love to see him live. Oh wait, fuck, I can't see him live. And then I cry. I'm tearing up literally again. It's really not fair how much I fucking tear up about this. It's really not, because something needs to be studied at the fact that I will literally just, water will start coming out of my eyes the second that it's a thought. It's ridiculous. It happens with I would say I see it happen frequently with Starman, Space Odyssey. I love Oh You Pretty Things, but I don't think it happens with that one. I just really love that song. Yeah, Life on Mars. It mainly happens with those, I think. I believe it's those. There's probably more that it happens with. I don't know. I should probably write it down whenever I break down about David Bowie. I should really write it down and kind of study it, because it's ridiculous at this point. It happens way too much. I sent a bunch of pictures to my friends of me just being like, it happened again. I cried about David Bowie. Actually, if you didn't know, David Bowie and Elvis share the same birthday, which is January 8th. And I celebrate that day yearly, which is maybe a little bit silly, but they're icons and they've shaped my life so much growing up. Like, I literally look up to them so much. And so that's I don't know if I should call it, I call it different things every year. I'm like, it's God's Day, or it's like King's Day, because they're like my kings, but they're also like my gods. But I celebrate that yearly, January 8th, because that is the day that David Bowie and Elvis were born. And it is a miracle of a day. Also, who was born on that day, the lead singer from Maniskin, which is an Italian band, Damiano, but is it Damiano David? Yes. I was going to say his first name is David. Yes, I blanked for a second. He was also born on that day. I don't look up to him as much as obviously Bowie and Elvis, but that's a random fact that I know. This wasn't about David Bowie and Elvis. This was about Billy Idol. So yes, I saw him this weekend, which was incredible and so excited. I was looking forward to it for like a whole week. It was a very last minute decision to go because I only found out very last minute that he was going to be there. And I was like, I have to go because I never know when I'll be able to see him concert ever again. Like I never know when it'll happen. And I don't want to regret not being able to see him in concert. So I went. And also it makes me really sad. Like I realized while I was watching the concert that out of all of the musicians in that era that I listened to and I've loved growing up, he's probably the only one that I'll ever be able to see live. So that felt very special to me. Also earlier I said U2, but U2 is not in the same area as them. I know that, just to clarify. I was just thinking of bands that I listened to when I was growing up and stuff, or musicians that I listened to, and U2 is very predominant in my childhood growing up, but I know that they're not in the same era. I did also see U2 live, but out of that era, of those icons, I will only ever really get to see Billy Idol live out of all of them. Never get to see Queen, never get to see Bowie, never get to see Elvis. So there, I did it. I didn't cry. I almost did, but I didn't. That would have been the third time that I cried in like 5 minutes if I did. God, that's a problem. I should talk to my therapist about that maybe. So that was a really great concert. Also, a little update is I am going on a trip soon. I'm very, very excited. I'm going to New York and Philadelphia at the end of May. Is it the end of May? Yes, at the end of May. That's crazy. This was also booked very last minute. But I'm going for about a week. I'm very unsure. I forgot already. I think I'm going for about a week to Philadelphia and New York. I'm going for, I think, 4 days in New York and then 3 days in Philadelphia, maybe 4. So maybe it's 8 days. Not sure. I will talk about it again, but I am going on a trip and I'm very excited. So I'm going to try to record 2 episodes while I'm there, one in New York and one in Philadelphia. Obviously, I'm not going to release them like immediately. It'll still be released every Monday, so I'll probably have an episode already ready to go for the Monday that I am there, if I'm going to be there during a Monday. I don't even remember the days at this point, but then I will probably release those after when I come back, but I'll film them while I'm there and just kind of have them ready, because I would love to film an episode in New York and love to film an episode in Philadelphia, because this really is what I wanted the podcast to be, more traveling. And unfortunately, I'm not in a place right now when I can travel. So I'm really looking forward to this so I can have, 2 travel episodes. I think that would be very fun, and I'm going to try to film a lot. I always take a lot of pictures and stuff when I go on vacation. I'm that type of person that takes pictures of absolutely everything because I love visuals and aesthetic things. So I'm going to take a bunch of pictures. I'll be posting them all over my Instagram for sure. And I am going to try to do the 2 episodes and batch them. And that would be really fun and cool because I'm excited. I'll probably do the episodes on what I'm doing while I'm there. I've been to New York before. This may be my 4th or 5th time going to New York. I absolutely love New York. It's one of my favorite cities. But it will be my first time in Philadelphia. I don't really know much about like what I want to see or do while I'm in Philadelphia, other than the very historical sites. And mainly when I think of Philadelphia, the only two things that come into my head are Always Sunny in Philadelphia and a Philly cheesesteak. Those are my two things on Philadelphia that I think of. And obviously like the historical things, but yeah, so I'm excited to go and check it out and be in New York again as well. I really want to go to Broadway, even though I've been there 4 times already. I have yet to go to a Broadway show, and I have yet to go to a Saturday Night Live taping because you have to ask for literally a year in advance for Saturday Night Live. So I don't know if I'll ever go to a Saturday Night Live taping unless I'm actually living in New York, because I just never am prepared to go to New York a year before. But I want to go to a Saturday Night Live taping so bad. The main feeling that I've been feeling this week is, well, I haven't been really feeling well. I've been feeling kind of sick and dizzy and having headaches and nausea constantly, which is unfortunate because that kind of was going away slowly. So it's back, but that's not, I didn't mean feeling like physically, I meant feeling like emotionally. Mentally though, the main thing that I've been feeling this week, and maybe I'll like keep doing this like a little segment on the podcast and talk about my main feeling of the week. But so starting, we'll see if I do that, but starting this week, my main feeling, I feel like I've repeated that sentence multiple times, has been holding on to things and knowing when to let go, and dealing with that kind of emotional ordeal and stuff. Sorry, I'm having a really hard time breathing today. I don't know why. Like, recording this has been a little bit of a struggle. So if I'm breathing really loudly, that's why. I just feel like I can't really breathe, which is lovely. But yeah, it's really been holding on to things when you know it's time to let go, or trying to realize if it's actually the time to let go. And I'm going to be very broad with this because I don't want to reveal what I'm talking about, because it is slightly personal, but I feel like, and I probably will talk about it again in a future episode when it feels a little bit easier to talk about. And it's slightly stupid. It shouldn't be as heavy as I'm making it sound like. It's very light instead, but it feels very heavy to me, because when things are really important to me, I just feel them wholeheartedly. And I've always really struggled with holding on to things and letting go, because I feel like since I've constantly moved back and forth throughout my life, I feel like I've always, in a sense, ripped away from things too soon, or before it was my own choice to move away from things or like leave things. So then it makes me feel more attached. And I don't know if this is common with other people who've also, like kids who've moved frequently throughout their lives. And I feel like I haven't even moved as frequently as some people may have moved more frequently. Like, I'm sure there's people who have moved throughout their life even more than I have. I don't feel like I have moved a crazy amount, but it was just in very specific, significant time periods in my life. I feel like when I was very young and when I was like 13, and then again when I was like 16. So very developmental ages. And that's why it's significant, I think, to me, but it's just 3 times. So I don't really see it as a lot. But yeah, so I think moving has always made me feel like things were kind of taken too soon, or I left things too soon, or without my own choice, in a sense, with not really, because I wasn't really always dragged away. It was just something that like I also agreed to moving. I just didn't really realize how I would feel after once I moved in my head. When I was younger, it was just like, oh, I'm just moving. Like, I'm just like moving, it's fine. But I didn't realize all that came with moving at that age, losing friendships, losing ties, changing your environment with, changing your environment with people, with everything. And so I feel like I hold on to things really deeply, and I probably have a little bit of abandonment issues too. I don't know. So it feels very hard for me to know when I need to let go. And that's been something I've been struggling with a lot this week. Well, this year, but especially this week, it's been something constantly in my mind, and I'm starting to get anxiety from it because it's when it's something like just constantly in my head, just like, do I let go? Do I stay? Am I staying for the wrong reasons? That's really hard. It's like, am I staying because I don't want to let go? Or am I staying because I actually want to stay? But yeah, I think holding on to things and knowing when to let go is really difficult because you have to kind of trust your heart and your head simultaneously. And sometimes your heart and your head don't really work together. And I also think there's a beauty in knowing when to let go. It's just hard for somebody who's never been able to do that before and take that choice themselves. I'm also very indecisive. So in my head, I'm like, what if I regret this later? What's the choice I'm not going to regret? And I will regret both. There's reason to regret both choices. So another thing I've been dealing with this week is not knowing, but like being okay with relaxing. I feel like that's really hard for me. And I've probably mentioned it before, but with like my perfectionism and like we talked about last week, my perfectionist procrastination, it just feels very hard for me to have a day where I'm doing absolutely nothing, because in my head you have to do something, like something productive every day, not just one thing, multiple things. But some days you just need a relaxed day, like a rot day. You just need it. It's just very hard for me to do. And if I do have it, then I will hate myself. And so today I tried to do that. I tried to give myself a relaxed day because I've just been feeling really shitty recently and not really feeling well. So I was like, I'm going to stay home today. I'm not going to work. I'm not going to do anything. And I'm just going to watch the show that I'm binging at the moment, or like, I guess not binging, like the show that I'm watching, and I'm going to binge that show today, and I'm just going to relax. And I was able to do it, I guess, without feeling completely icky. Like I didn't feel physically icky. I just felt a little slightly mentally icky. And yet this morning I did clean the house. And when I did lunch, I washed my dishes and stuff like that. So fed the animals. I did something else that was productive and I don't remember, but I did a few productive things. So it wasn't even like a complete rot day, and yet I still feel slightly guilty about that. And I don't understand why it's so difficult to just have a relaxing day and not feel guilty about it. Why? Like, why? And I enjoyed myself. Like, I literally enjoyed just watching my show and just sitting, relaxing. But yet in the back of my mind after like episode 3, I was like, shit, should I be getting up? Like, this is bad. Like, I shouldn't be doing this. And I had those thoughts and I pushed them away. I had to be like, no, you are allowed to have a day off. You're allowed to take this day. You're not feeling well. You're really dizzy. You have a headache. Like, nothing is really, you shouldn't be doing stuff when you're sick. When you're not feeling well, you shouldn't just be forcing yourself to do things. You can take a day off. So had to literally force those thoughts down and keep watching my show. And it worked a little bit, but they definitely they just keep coming up, and it's crazy. Like, why can't you just have a day to relax? And I've never was like that. Like, I would stay home from school or I would stay home from work with like a fever, and I would clean or do stuff. Like, if I was calling out because I had a fever, guess what I was doing? Cleaning my house, cleaning my room, doing something. You'd never, I think I've had, that's a lie. I was going to say I've never had, but I think I've had only one time where I was sick with like a fever or anything, any sickness, and I didn't do anything. And I stayed in bed and I just stayed sick. Other than that one time that happened, if I can move physically, I will move. Like, I will be up and doing things. And that's crazy. Because tell me why, literally with the fever, and people are like, oh, what are you doing? What show are you watching? Are you resting? No. I'm reorganizing my entire closet. They're like, but you have a fever. And it's like, yeah, the perfect time. I get a day off. It's like, you get a day off to rest, bitch. What the fuck? Nope. That doesn't happen in my mind. Definitely does not. It's crazy. Even with broken like arms and stuff, and I've broken so many bones as a kid, and even with like broken arms, broken legs and stuff like that, I still did my sports when I was a child. Anyways, that was a random thought. It's May. That's fucking crazy. I don't like that. Tell me why it's May. Somebody tell me why it's actually May of 2024, because that's illegal. It feels very illegal, and I'm not accepting it. It was literally January. I kid you fucking not. It was January 2 seconds ago. That is wrong. I don't like it on any terms. Okay, maybe it was February, but March, April, done. Where'd they go? Did anybody else experience that January 2024 was like the longest month ever, and then February passed by super quickly? And then it's like, they're getting shorter, bro. The months are not 30 days. They're literally a week. I swear to God, it was just the beginning of March. I also went to go see an Olivia Rodrigo concert in the beginning of March. So it literally feels like I saw her a week ago. I've had a lot of stuff happen since then, like family emergencies and things like that. So that's probably why. But damn, it was literally March. I'm not okay with the fact that it's May. I hate it so much. That's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. Time flying is crazy. It makes me feel really upset because I think about all the stuff I want to accomplish and all the stuff I haven't accomplished. Me here staring, as I'm recording this, staring at my to-do list journal. It's like mocking me. It's mocking me with all the stuff that I have to do, or that I tell myself I have to do, and that I have not even done, which is crazy because we're in the 5th month. May is 5, right? Yeah. And all these things have not been done. It's very upsetting. So I hate thinking of time, and the perception of time is crazy to me because it was literally noon and now it is 11 p.m. It's almost been 12 hours and it has felt like 2. I don't appreciate that. I feel like we're stuck in like the Matrix or like a glitch or something, because does anybody else experience in their day that it's 2 p.m. and then all of a sudden it's 6? Because that happens to me every day. It's 2 p.m. all of a sudden it's 6. I'm like, why? Why did that? How? What? I don't get it. I have no topic for this week, by the way. That is why I'm rambling about my week. This week has absolutely no topic. I mean, I've thought of things. My topic is why is relaxing so hard and time perception. But that's all I have to say about it, basically. Right now I'm staring at my Aristocats bookmark that I bought and have never really used because I just like staring at it. Does anybody else love the Aristocats? I feel like this is a very random thing, but I absolutely adore the Aristocats. Adore them. When I was a kid, obsessed, and I feel like it fits my personality so well because it's like I've always wanted to be it sounds so weird, but I've always wanted to be an aristocrat. I'm so used to saying Aristocats that I can't say aristocrat. But being an aristocrat is just being from a noble family, like a high class ranking. And I've just always wanted, so basically rich. And I've just always wanted to be from a rich family. My boyfriend said to me that I've always wanted to be a Nepo baby, and I wish I was born as a Nepo baby. And I feel so content with that statement. Like, that is very true. I've always wanted to be a Nepo baby. And don't get me wrong, I feel very like I'm glad I wasn't, but the idea of just, I mean, who wouldn't want to just grow up rich? Being a Nepo baby just sounds like so much fun. You just are around a bunch of celebrities and like in the world of like Hollywood and fame, and you get to meet so many cool and influential people and iconic people, and you just have a bunch of money. And yeah, I mean, being in the public eye sounds very scary, but I would love to meet so many incredible people I feel like are famous and well known, and I would just love to meet all of them. But I'm also terrified to meet all of them, like as me, like who I am right now, terrified to meet any like celebrity at all or anybody that I look up to. But if I was a Nepo baby and I was rich, I would love to meet everybody. Come on, like it's like so weird, but that's how I view it. It's like if I was part of that world, I would definitely love to meet everybody and hang out with everybody. But since I'm not part of that world, it's terrifying. They say never to meet your idols, and people would probably let me down, and I'd probably meet all them and maybe possibly be disappointed and be like, oh my god, they're so influential or so iconic, and then I realize maybe they're not and they're actually bad people, and that would hurt me desperately. So that's why I wouldn't want to meet them. But if I was a Nepo baby, I feel like I'd be used to that. So I don't know. I mean, you can't really know unless you were actually like if that was actually your life, you can't really tell how you would perceive something, which I think is crazy. Which, I mean, it makes sense, but I think I want to live in so many other people's shoes, and it's upsetting to me that I'm not able to live in so many people's shoes. I just want to see firsthand so many people's different perceptions to life and what they experience and how their life is and how it's different from mine and everything. I feel like I would want to, if I can body if I can body swap with people, that'd be amazing. I never thought about that, but that would be the superpower that I would pick. I always said that if I could have any superpower, it'd be time travel or like teleportation or anything like that, or like speed running and then run to like different places. I don't know. To travel, which superpower, this is such a random question. Which superpower do you think is the most efficient for traveling and seeing different places? Running, like speed running, like the Flash, or teleportation? I feel like obviously teleportation, because speed running still takes effort. Like, sure, you'll get to Paris faster than taking a plane, but it still takes effort to do so. And you have to run across water. I feel like that's a lot of training to do. Teleportation, you can just go. But also teleportation is scary, because where are you when you're not in the place? Like, where does your energy go in space? It's not real, so I don't have to think about it too much. But I got lost in the train of thought and was thinking about it way too much. But yeah, so I always wanted to have teleportation. I guess I'd pick teleportation over running, speed running. It was just to travel. So teleportation or time traveler is the superpower I always thought I wanted. But now that I'm realizing, body swapping would be so cool, because I just love the idea of being able to perceive somebody else's life from their perspective. And I try as much as I can to put myself in somebody else's shoes and really give people the benefit of the doubt when I'm looking at or when I'm thinking of arguments or perceptions or their way of thinking and stuff like that. When it comes to those sort of things, I really try to put myself in other people's shoes and see every point of view. But obviously you don't as well as you could if you actually step into their shoes and see how they live and how they are truly inside and how their brain works. And I would love that so much. Today, I also, despite saying that I wasn't going to do really anything other than binge my show, I did bake a little, which is fine because that's not really a chore or productive. It's just for fun, and I absolutely love baking. So I was like, okay, let's get up and bake. And I baked just regular cookies, but it was just so, it's like literally it's girl therapy. It's such a form of therapy for me to bake. It just makes me feel so happy and alive. I feel like the only two times I ever feel the most happy and alive is when I'm either baking or horseback riding. I don't know if I've said this before. It feels very familiar. But those are my two most therapeutic activities, I guess. Most therapeutic activities. Yeah. And I get so happy thinking about it. I really would want to go to like a pastry school. This is completely different for anything that I studied and I went to university for, but I'd absolutely love to go to a pastry school and learn a lot more about baking and the technical side of baking as well. But I baked these cookies. They were just chocolate chips. And then I wanted to try, instead of just regular chocolate chips, to make like crumble cookie chocolate chips. So I looked up a copycat recipe and see how Crumble makes their cookies, and I kind of did a little research on specific ingredients to use, like baking powder, baking soda, cornstarch, which I never knew about using cornstarch in cookies for the specific way for them to come out, and like specific things to do to make cookies come in a certain form and texture and shape, and how much they rise or how much they expand. So I made crumble cookie dupes of just chocolate chip cookies, but I didn't have that many chocolate chips, so it's very plain. It's not too over chocolatey, which is fine because I don't really like my chocolate chips with too much chocolate chips. And I also made an everything but the kitchen sink cookie as well, because I saw I had potato chips, and I don't know why, I just really love sugar, like sweet and salty. But yeah, I just love sweet and salty together, and like chocolate dipped potato chips are so good. I don't know if that's a thing, but when I, like a few years ago, I would always dunk my potato chips in Nutella. I don't know if that's weird or not, but I would do that all the time. And I don't do it anymore because it was just kind of like a phase that I was in at that time, but I remember it, and I remember being like, they're so good. And also chocolate covered pretzels are so good. So I love sweet and salty mixed together. Or I just love like caramel corn and chocolate popcorn and stuff like that. So I saw potato chips and I was like, oh my God, let's try putting potato chips in chocolate chip cookies. And they came out amazing. The dough literally looked stunning. Like I kid you not, the dough looked so good. I was so proud of myself, so happy. It made me so happy to see how pretty the dough was, and I can't even like further explain unless you get it. If you get it, you get it. But God, I saw that dough and I was like, this is beautiful. It's gorgeous little dough. So in the everything but the kitchen sink cookies, I put pecans, chocolate chips. Again, didn't have too many chocolate chips, and I had pre-planned that I was going to make these. I already knew when I made the crumble cookie dupe chocolate chips, so I split the chocolate chips that I had, which is why they just weren't that much, but they still were. It was still fine. So I did the chocolate chips, pecans, potato chips. Fuck, what else did I put in there? Oh, granola and coconut flakes. Yeah, that's what I did in my everything but the kitchen sink cookies, and they're so good. And the crumble cookie dupes also came out really good. I didn't like them at first because they felt too doughy, but although crumble cookie does feel a little bit doughy on the inside, and then so I put them back in the oven and I had them cook for a little bit longer, or do I say cook or bake a little bit longer? Yeah, I put them back in the oven for a little bit longer, which the recipe that I found for the dupe said that you shouldn't put them, like over bake them, but they were too doughy for me, so I baked them for an extra, I think 7 minutes, and then they were pretty good, but they still had to cool down and wait, and an hour later they weren't as doughy, which is kind of crazy. But also with crumble cookie, I feel like I like them a lot more when they're completely cooled an hour later and they're a little bit more crunchier, but that's just because I don't really like overly soft cookies. So I did that today. The baking was really fun and I absolutely loved it. I'm going to look into a pastry school for sure. I don't know. Is this a little side quest that I'm going to go on? I don't know. I've thought about it for a while, and then I kind of just keep pushing it back and being like, nah, I don't have to go to pastry school. It's not something I need, but I really want to. It sounds like so much fun and I would love to. I think I'm going to leave this episode here. I'm really sorry that it was kind of random and just kind of topic jumping, but yeah, that's today's week. That's kind of how I felt like all week, thoughts jumping back and forth. So it really just reflects how my week has been. And yeah, next week, I promise I'll have a much better and normal type of episode, and I'm really excited because I'm gonna have my mom on the podcast, and it's gonna be a cute little Mother's Day episode, which I don't even know what we're going to do for Mother's Day. I know what I'm gonna get her though. I'm very excited. I still haven't purchased it like physically, but I have the idea. I just have to go and get it and set it all up. I love Mother's Day because Mother's Day is just, it's great. I have a great relationship with my mom that I'm very lucky and grateful to have. So I love Mother's Day, and every year she always gets me a gift for Mother's Day because she says that I'm the reason that she's a mother. So she gets me a little gift and we just exchange gifts, and it's cute. It's like our own little day, obviously. So I'm very excited to have my mom on the podcast next week. And now I'm going to go walk my dog and maybe eat another cookie. I probably shouldn't because it's midnight, and if I eat sweets at night, I will feel sick throughout the night. So I'm going to resist the temptation of eating another one of my delicious cookies that I'm so extremely proud of. So I do not feel sick and have nightmares tonight because, this week I've had 3 nightmares. So maybe the sugar is what causes nightmares. I should look into that. If I have nightmares tonight, guys, sugar, I'm calling it. I'm calling that it's sugar that gets me the nightmares. But we'll see, I guess. All right. So thank you so much for listening. You can follow me on Instagram at the Postcard Podcast and at Reb in Progress. And talk to you next week. Talk soon.